Hello, I'm Eric Klopfer, and I'm a professor and the director of the Scheller Teacher Education Program and the Education Arcade here at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Welcome to Introduction to Game Design and Development, one of the first course modules in a 4-course collection focused on the design and development of games and educational technology. While I'm the host for this course, the credit for developing the content for this course goes to Philip Tan and Sarah Varelli of the MIT Game Lab. We'll be starting our first course here at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a thriving hub for innovation in games and educational technology, just across the river from Boston. Massachusetts, of course, has a rich history in the video game industry. MIT was home of one of the first computer games, Space War, and gave birth to one of the largest computer game companies of the 1980s, Infocom. Groundbreaking PC and console developers such as Looking Glass Technologies, Turbine, Irrational Games, and Harmonix also had their start here in the general Boston area. The Introduction to Game Design and Development course provides a brief introduction to games and game design. The course will help you design and develop your own game. Before you can create games, it's important to understand why people play games and why play is important. In week 1, we'll talk about the importance of play and share some people's definition of what a game is. From there, we'll move to what game design is, how it is done, and how a person or a team gets started on the process of designing a game. In week 2, we'll look at where you go once you have a concept or a goal for your game. We'll talk about some basic game mechanics and introduce initial methods of game design, starting with paper prototyping, testing your prototypes, and iterating your design based on your tests. In week 3, we'll start to look at your game as a unified whole. A game's story, theme, and mechanics need to come together to create what we call a unified aesthetic, where the story, action, and art all shape the player's experience. In week 4, we move from paper prototyping to digital prototyping. Early prototyping is often done fastest on paper, but when building a digital game, it may be necessary to test certain elements through digital prototypes. Week 4 is about choosing the best prototyping method that works for you. In week 5, we want to bring out the best in your game. We'll look at polishing how your game plays and improving the player's overall experience. In week 6, while you finish up your course project, we'll focus on the business of games and how game designers get their games to market. To kickstart this week, we're going to start by asking a very simple question. What is a game?
What is a game?
I think that's something you're going to get a different answer with every single person you talk to.
Any glorious use of time. Can I elaborate?
A game really is something that you play to either learn something, or if you're bored, just to go do it. There's video games, which could be for shooting, or it can be for education without knowing that it is. And there's also board games, which just for family fun and stuff.
A game is problem solving. It's when you're using your brain to solve problems, but in a fun sort of entertainment context.
What is a game? Oh my gosh. I think a game is a structure for play. So basically a game has rules or has some form of constraint that we engage in, either with other people or on our own, and that somehow magically, from these sort of very rigid rules, generate play, generate expression, new strategies, creativity. They're kind of this amazing little compressed engine that explodes into all kinds of different possibilities.
A game is a mathematical engine covered with graphics used to tell a story.
There's so many different types of games, but I think fundamentally games offer an experience for players. It takes them out of the world we're in right now, be it a video game or a board game or Scrabble. It takes them out of the experience they're having and puts them into an entirely new experience. And it's an immersive experience, and it's a form of escape.
A game is a artificial set of rules that an individual or a group of players agree to adhere to that has some sort of goal or desired outcome. That would be my definition.
I would say a game is structured play, where one or more players overcomes challenges or obstacles to reach a goal. And that can be a goal set by the game, that can be a goal set by them. In fact, all the different parts of that definition can be many, many, many different things, but I think that's probably the most useful definition I've come up with so far.
That's a tough question. A game is a play activity where there are rules, and I would tend to be more inclusive about what that means. So we get things like basketball and chess and Pac-Man, they're all games. But we also have things like toys, like The Sims. I consider that a game, or serious games, for example, an educational simulation, or any interactive art thing could potentially be a game.
Well, I mean, a game in its most basic form is an entertainment, something that one person or more want to do to amuse themselves and pass time.
So, of course, there's the games that we do that are board games and live-action role-playing games and video games that are intended to be a very, very specific, crafted experience. But I design games for little kids, and frequently it's here's how we can learn how to brush our teeth, and here's how I can keep you distracted while mom wants to change your diaper. And these are making experiences that are otherwise mundane potently interesting and exciting and meaningful. So that time itself is the game.
Well, although it sounds flip, I kind of like Bernard Suit's definition that a game is the overcoming of unnecessary obstacles. I'd really modify that a little bit by saying unnecessary, because in fact a game is always an exercise that's voluntary and without any meaning to the outside world, just something we do for our own pleasure. It has obstacles. A game has to have challenges, otherwise it wouldn't be a game. What he doesn't mention in that definition is that there are also usually a set of transparent rules, and that anyone playing the game sort of agrees in entering into the game to abide by those rules, whatever they are. Interestingly enough, even though there are rules and obstacles, it's still play because we're still doing it for ourselves, for our own, for whatever reasons we have. I want to even avoid saying for our own pleasure or amusement, because I think we play because we want to play. And games are just a slightly more structured form of that play.